Good morning, and thank you for tuning in. Today is a fresh, crisp, but very promising morning here in El Paso, Texas. We were here for an event. I shared a lot of stories the last few days that we organized here together with a wonderful team of artists. And I wanted to post something today because it's been a while. Today is full moon in Virgo. But apart from this, it is a particularly special full moon. And that is because it is known as Gaura Purnima. Gaura means golden, and Purnima means full moon. So Gaura Purnima is actually worshipped amongst the Vaishnava culture from the east of India, from West Bengal. In this tradition, we recognize this day as a very auspicious day, a day in which one of the avatars of Lord Narayan or Vishnu manifested here on planet Earth. So this Purnima is a very significant day. Full moon is always a significant day. And we will feel the effects of this throughout our experience of life during this day. Full moon, where does the moon represent? The moon represents the mind. The moon represents our emotions. The moon represents mature femininity. The moon represents large bodies of water, and so much more. So during the full moon, we see that all of these different areas of our existence activate. And depending on the placement of our moon in our chart, the effect will be slightly different. But the principle is still that the moon is in Virgo. What is Virgo? Virgo is a sign which represents structure, which represents organization, sometimes even pedantic adherence to a way of thinking, right? So Virgo moon is a person that's very mentally structured and that finds peace in organization, finds peace in keeping things in order and perhaps even controlling a little bit of their situation, right? So that is simply the manifestation of the moon in Virgo. And even if our moons aren't in Virgo, we will feel that tendency today, right? Now, depending on where our moon is and what our rising sign is, the effect of today will be quite different. And we could get into a long video, and perhaps I'll start putting out some YouTube videos describing these different effects for the different natives. And if you know your rising sign, you'd be able to have a better idea of exactly how these planetary placements will affect you. But I wanted to take a little bit of time to talk about Gaura Purnima, right? So this particular personality who manifested over 500 years ago in West Bengal under this moon is respected and worshipped amongst the culture of the Gaudiya Vaishnavas specifically, but all over India. Vaishnava practitioners will recognize this day as a day of prayer, a day of connection, a day of reflection to remember the love of God for us. It is a very particular love that we reflect upon today. It is the love of both the masculine energy of the divine and the feminine combined, right? So this personality, this avatar who appeared, is known as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu or Gauranga. Gauranga means the golden, he who has limbs of golden complexion, right? So we find, using astrology, we find a beautiful reading of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's birth chart. Now, we're not going to get into the entire birth chart now. We're trying to keep these videos short, but I did want to share a few details of this birth chart with you today. Particularly, I want to share the moon placement, right? So where do we find this information about Mahaprabhu's birth chart? We find in a few places, one of which is Shripad Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur's Amrita Prabha Bhanya. So in this presentation, he explores and details Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's birth chart. Now we are well aware that Shripad Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur was and still is one of the greatest astrologers of this era. So he is an authority and more than capable to calculate the exact birth chart of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. But today we're just going to talk about the moon placement. And obviously there's so much that we can explore in this moon placement. So though today the full moon is in Virgo, on that day, 500 years ago, the moon was in Leo. And this is just such a beautiful significant placement. Why? Leo is governed by the sun, and the sun represents the father, represents the king. And the moon is placed in Leo. The moon represents the mind, represents the mother, represents the queen. So as we understand, for those of you who have explored a little bit about Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's history, is that he was a manifestation of both the masculine and feminine energy of the divine. And here his moon is placed in Leo. And this is just so satisfying that these details are manifested. Obviously, being a direct avatar of Narayan, of Vishnu, the moon or sun or these different planetary combinations cannot aspect him or affect him. Rather, they're there to serve and allow us to have some introspection into the internal and eternal moods of this particular avatar. Now, the sun aspect here with the Leo moon has many different representations of how we can see. For those of you who have heard or studied his life, there are many places where we can infer this energy of the moon in Leo, and I welcome you all to comment below and perhaps your realizations. Even if you don't have a particular study or background in astrology, I think that intrinsically you can explore moods and perhaps even happenings in his life that could be connected to this combination. So thank you for your time. Sorry it's a little glitchy. I'm still getting back into this, and I hope to improve my quality of presentation. Looking forward to share more with all of you. Have a wonderful day, and we'll talk to you soon.